Morning peeps, good morning everyone, how's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, like, share, subscribe. I'm still on the road, people, still hotel living. Still in Saudi Arabia, but I'm in Jeddah right now. I'm here hosting the World Pool Championships until Sunday, which is definitely me coming out of my comfort zone. Like you guys know, my sports are football, boxing, bit of athletics, tennis, basketball, but never pool. But yeah, look, I was asked to host it. So let's see what we can do. I guess they think that I maybe add something different to the hosting team. So yeah, looking forward to it. But as I said, definitely out of my comfort zone. But I don't mind that. I don't mind that. I like pushing myself. And I was up until like 4 a.m. This morning, just studying and just making sure that I know everything there is to know to get me through day one. And then we'll work out what we're going to do on day two. But look, let's look and see what there is to talk about a sport that I do know a little bit about, and that's boxing. Right, let's start here. A De La Hoya pitches 5 versus 5 Golden Boy versus Top Rank show. Yeah, I mean, look, these things clearly work. I do think the story though wasn't about sort of 5 versus 5 Matchroom Queens, but it was more a case of Eddie versus Frank. Like there was a big backstory about the Hearns and the Warrens. So that's kind of what made it. I don't know how much of a backstory there is, or if there is any, with Oscar De La Hoya and Bob Arum. I still think the fights will work. I still think they can put 5 really good matchups together. But we'll see. We'll see how it works. WBO approve Boatsi versus Hutchinson as interim title after Yarde deadline passes. What's going on? What is going on? Well, actually, we do know what's going on. There's clearly an issue between Team Yarde and Frank Warren. There's clearly an issue there, and one that needs to get ironed out very very quickly, or Yarde's going to miss, I think, some fantastic opportunities. Yarde isn't a fighter in his 20s. What's Yarde? I'm guessing 32, 33. Let's have a look. And look, still lives a life, still could go deep into his 30s, but in terms of the big money fights, 32. In terms of the big money fights, 33 in August. Like, he's missing them. They're there now, right? But I spoke about Yarde jumping in and fighting Dmitry Bivol. Obviously, Malik Zinad did. And not only did Malik Zinad come in and fight Bivol, look, he lost, but you probably heard in the ring, Turkey saying, okay, you did so well, you came in on late notice, we're going to put you on another big show, the December card or the October card. October, Bivol, Beterbiev, December, Fury, Usyk. So there's an opportunity there to make more money and be in another big fight. And I feel like Yarde's missing all these opportunities. He's aligned to a promoter right now in Frank Warren that's aligned to a guy that's chucking millions at the sport, and Turkey Al-Sheikh. So like, I hope for Yarde's sake he sorts out whatever there is to sort out, and that it doesn't derail his time in the ring right now. Because look, I think Yarde's so exciting. I do. I think he's one of the best light heavyweights, and I think there are a number of good fights out there to make for him, including Joshua Boatsi. But look, we'll see. As for the Boatsi Hutchinson fight, look, I can no longer sleep on Willie Hutchinson. And I think that's a Willie Hutchinson, by the way, that hasn't gone 12 rounds in years. And look, he was gassing towards the end, but so was Craig Richards. And Hutchinson's a bit of a problem. He really is. I mean, this guy obviously super confident, like bordering on arrogance, but super confident, can fight on the back foot, can put his punches together. He's got a bit of pop in his punches as well. So that's not easy work for Boatsi at all. I don't think that's easy work for any light heavyweight in the country. So, yeah, look, I don't mind that one. I don't mind that at all. I mean, Hutchinson is taking a big step to go from where he's been to basically fighting for the interim, by the way. WBO title was a big one, but you got to take your chances. You got to take your chances, and he's doing that. Talking of taking chances, Daniel Dubois certainly has taken his chances recently. He's one of, I think, 3 or 4 heavyweights that have taken Riyadh season by storm. Agit Kabiel's another, Joseph Parker's another, and Daniel Dubois is definitely that as well. Some might argue and say AJ should be in that. We're going to get to that in a minute. But in terms of beating really good names, those 3 are definitely the 3 that I think have done good stuff. Obviously, Usyk beat Fury, but I'm talking about heavyweights that maybe were on the cusp of sort of world 10, top 15 even, and now they're all sort of fighting for a place in that top 5 or top 6. Daniel Dubois, I think, looked really good and had a gut check against Jarrell Miller. Daniel Dubois, I thought, looked really good and had a couple of gut checks against HRGOVIC. Like, that wasn't a walk in the park, by the way, at all. HRGOVIC was landing easily. But that 1-2, Daniel Dubois couldn't get out of the way of it. But Daniel Dubois soaked them up. Honestly, soaked them up, started bobbing and weaving, started to close the gap. Couple of headbutts I thought in there as well. Bit of naughtiness from Dubois. Don't mind that, by the way. Boxing is, full of dark arts, and, the elbows and the headbutts are part of the sport. I don't like them, but they're part of the sport. But look, he kind of weathered a couple of storms in that fight and beat a guy that, look, I never thought was elite, but beat a guy that a lot of boxing people told me was a top 10 guy, banked. So if he's that, I'm going to give Daniel a lot of credit for beating a top 10 guy, hence why I say Daniel is now in the discussion as being a top 6, top 7 heavyweight. In the what have you done for me lately thing, he's beaten Jarrell Miller, say what you want to say about Jarrell, who was unbeaten, and he's beaten HRGOVIC, who, again, there's a lot of hype around HRGOVIC. So there is a top 6, top 7 discussion. The wider discussion now is, will we see Daniel Dubois versus Anthony Joshua, Wembley Stadium, September, for, I'm guessing, what will be the IBF heavyweight title? Will we see it? If you're AJ, look, AJ will obviously take the fight. There's no doubt about it, right? There's loads of money on the table now. You take the fights that are given to you because the money is just getting silly in the sport. But I don't know if that excites him. Like some of the names we were led to believe AJ was in discussions to fight 12 to 18 months ago, right? I still believe that if Alexander Usyk lost to Tyson Fury, I know there was a lot of talk about a rematch clause. I still believe that they would have somehow just pushed Usyk to the side and it would have been all systems go, Fury, AJ, September, October, right? That didn't happen. Fury lost, and obviously we're not going to see Usyk, AJ anytime soon. So Fury out of the picture. And then I don't know if you guys saw me on stage speaking to Turkey, and I was like, okay, who do we want for AJ in September? And he said, Wilder. That's what he said. He said Wilder. He was praying to God, as was AJ, as was Eddie Hearn, that Wilder came for that fight against Zhilei Zhang. Because again, we've been speaking about AJ Wilder, not just for the best part of 8 months, for the best part of 8 years. We've been speaking about this fight for ages. And now that fight's done, and I think Wilder is done as well as a top tier heavyweight. So if you're AJ, in the last 2 months, you've been ringside watching and hoping that Fury would come through it and Wilder would come through it, just because those are bigger fights. Like AJ has been in the same era as Fury and Wilder and hasn't fought Fury and Wilder for whatever reason. It just hasn't happened. And that's just super disappointing. So a Daniel Dubois fight, although it's a big-ish fight, it must be difficult for AJ to get up to, or get up for, sorry. It must be difficult because you've just not had any, like there's never really, apart from in the last couple of weeks when, there was a lot of talk about the win of HRGOVIC, Dubois fights AJ, there's never really been that AJ versus Dubois conversation. Just hasn't happened. So, yeah, I do wonder what route AJ takes. Like, you look at the options on the table for this September fight, realistic options. Joseph Parker's a realistic option, right? But we've seen it before, and I don't know if there's any push or any want to see it again. I'm not quite sure, but Parker deserves it, coming off a win against Wilder. Zhang. There is Zhang, who's coming off the winner, beating Deontay Wilder. Again, I don't think there's any excitement for that fight. There is Caballel, who's coming off a really couple of good wins against Aslanbek Makhmudov and Frank Sanchez. Those are solid wins. So there's those three, and then there's Daniel Dubois. There's not much else, is there? In terms of, like, guys, we're talking Wembley Stadium here. Like, we're not talking the O2 Arena. We're not talking a fight even in the Kingdom. We're talking Wembley Stadium. We're talking 90,000. And for me, there was only 2 people that could fill that up with AJ, and that was Fury and Wilder. Obviously, look, there's a lot of talk about Inoue being on that card, and we know they'll stack the card. I mean, if we look at how they've stacked cards, in the one coming up in LA and what they've done in Riyadh season so far, they'll stack it, but 90,000 is 90,000. So look, we'll see what happens. Look, I am interested in AJ Dubois. For the record, I think AJ beats Dubois because Dubois does get hit a lot. Again, look at the HRGOVIC. I mean, I think AJ is a bigger puncher. In fact, I know he's a bigger puncher than HRGOVIC, and HRGOVIC was lighting Dubois up. And I feel like if AJ can land any of those combinations that HRGOVIC landed, then I think Dubois is in trouble. That being said, Dubois can crack as well. And he can take one. And he's been through the fire. And he's now experienced in 26 and confident. It isn't easy work for AJ, but I think AJ will get it done. But, yeah, I don't know the interest in it. But we'll see. We'll see. There's obviously this history of a sparring session that Dubois spoke about a few years back. So they might find footage of that and play that out. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not super keen on it. I'll get super keen, but I'm not super keen right now on it. What are your guys' thoughts on it? All right. Adrien Broner aiming to win another world title in honor of late coach Stafford. No. No. It's not. I just don't think it's possible, if I'm honest with you, at all, if I'm honest. And that's not. In fact, it is disrespecting Broner, because I think Broner's wasted his career, and now he's trying to bring it back. And look, there was a time when, look, before the Maidana fight, where I thought Broner was, in fact, no, before the Paulie Malignaggi fight, because I think we saw holes there, big holes. There was a time before that fight where I thought this could be the future of the sport. Like, I thought pay-per-view, I thought everything. I'm not joking. Not ability. I still thought he lacked some things. Like, I thought his hand speed was good, but his feet didn't really move. But I thought if this guy just knuckles down, we are talking about an enormous star in the sport of boxing. And just didn't knuckle down, and then we saw the spiraling of Adrien Broner's career. And yeah, it's not great. Oh, I like this one. I was thinking about this as I was watching the fight. I was thinking, what middleweight in Britain could cause Hamza Shiraz a problem? Like, I still would like to see what Felix Cash looks like after the Tyler Denny fight, because I think Felix is a very good fighter, a very good mover. But Shiraz here has said to Eubank Jr., if you've got balls, let's do it. Eubank ain't wanting none of that. For so many different reasons. Like, Hamza's not, I was going to say Hamza's not a big enough name for Eubank, but at this stage of Eubank's career, I think he's chasing money. So look, if the Kingdom want to say, okay, because I know Turkey loves Hamza Shiraz, if they want to say or offer Chris something stupid, he'll take the fight. But if it's a case of that fight in the UK where maybe the money isn't as great, then he ain't doing that at all. He ain't doing that at all. Zhili Zhang wants world titles and Joshua after rematch with Parker. That's probably going to be what happens next, you know. Parker versus Zhang rematch. I mean, if you're Parker, you don't really want that rematch because you've done it. And you remember how hard the first fight was. Like, he scraped a win. It wasn't easy work. That was hard work. He got put down twice. He was hurt badly the second time. So, yeah, you kind of don't want that. But, I mean, again, if someone says the money's there, the money's there. Turkey Al-Sheikh lines up Beterbiev, Benavidez, and Opetaya for Bivol. The Opetaya one's interesting because I was in a car with Jai going back, and Jai told me that Turkey asked, could you ever get down to 175? And Jai was like, the best he could maybe get down to, like, maybe without it hurting him, I think was like 190. So I don't know what happens. Look, I would, of that kind of foursome there, for me, the only one that really makes sense for Opetaya is Beterbiev, because he looks like a very, very, very big 175 guy. And I don't think he would look small at cruiserweight either. So that makes sense. Benavidez, Bivol's a really good fight. Obviously, Benavidez is taking on Vosdik. That's a good fight. So we'll see what happens, but we'll see. All right, last one. What's this? Eddie Hearn does not think Deontay Wilder has belief anymore. I don't think it's that. I mean, like, fighters get old. And shit happens. Like, a couple of defeats will take it out on you. He's so undersized for heavyweight as well. He's 214 fucking pounds. It's funny because we don't look at it like that because he's tall. So it's like, oh, 6'6", Deontay Wilder, 214 pounds. These guys now are giants. They're so big. Like, Dubois looked massive the other day. And he's, even him compared to Zhang is small. Like, Dubois was what, 247 or 237? Zhang's 281. 281. Think about that. Like, think about the fact that some of these, like, lighter weight guys are moving up, and we're saying, oh, there's weight classes for a reason. I've been doing videos about Crawford, Canelo for a while, and everyone's like, even though Crawford's going to come in his next fight, 154, so he'll still be 14 pounds below Canelo if they were to match up in terms of just where they are now. And everyone's like, oh, no, there's weight classes for a reason. Wilder was nearly 70 pounds smaller than Zhang. 70 pounds, and we're having discussions. And not just 70 pounds and Zhang can't box and Zhang's sloppy. 70 pounds against an Olympian that can fight, southpaw. Good luck. I actually think, I wouldn't mind just seeing Wilder just leave Malik and just seeing if some other coach can just find something in him. I don't know who. I have no idea who, but just someone. Because it's just not worked with Malik Scott. Say what you guys want to say. It's just not worked. That's not me saying Malik's a bad coach. It's just not worked. Anyway, guys, look, I've got to go in 45 minutes. I've not brushed my teeth. I've not had a wash. I've not packed. Peace.